One of my favorite features every single year is the anonymous confidential articles. And this year, The Athletic put together one for the NBA draft. So we went through all of the top prospects in the NBA draft and basically asked college coaches and NBA scouts to anonymously give their scouts on all of the biggest name players in the NBA draft. It's in the New York Times, also just in the Athletic. I encourage everyone to go read this. It's a really, really awesome, fun read. And you get some brutally honest takes on a lot of different players. I'll start broadly with you, Dion, and we can maybe just say if either one of us had a big major reaction to anything in this. And then we can go player by player and sort of pick out 1 to 2 sentences from each and maybe play lie detector test, fact checker test if we believe some of these anonymous quotes or not. What was your broad takeaway from the Anonymous Scouts article this year?
I feel like my broadest takeaway, I think this is the hardest anonymous scouts have been on college players since the article came out. It's extremely nitpicky. Extremely nitpicky. And these are guys that in my opinion, have some of the most tape that they have of any like collegiate class out there too. And I think it lends to a point that I've always had when it comes to college players. The longer you're in college, I think it actually kind of hurts your draft stock to an extent because then this is what happens. And they just get too nitpicky and strike while the stove's hot.
Yeah. Yeah, it makes sense. I do think like harsh critiques in here, which is part of why I like these articles, but I think you're right. It feels like we're getting more and more outwardly negative on a lot of these guys. I know we ripped the Jace Richardson stuff on Friday last week, but I don't know. We'll go through some of these and they might sound a little harsh as we go, but let's start with Cooper Flagg at the top. So again, there's a bunch of college head coaches and NBA scouts. I'm not even going to specify who's saying what because I feel like I'm just going to be repeating like generic guy the whole time. But it's either coming from an NBA scout or college coaches, whether head or assistant, that played these players last year. Summarizing a couple Cooper Flagg comments. Cooper's about the right stuff. He's a good dude. He comes to play. He's got swag. He's a likable dude. There's no punk in him. None of that bullshit entitlement to him. He plays the right way. Are these just generic Caucasian tropes or are these accurate to Cooper Flagg to you?
I don't know how much swag Coop has. But outside of that, I think it's all very accurate. I mean, Coop has some swag, but I wouldn't, I wouldn't call Cooper AJ DeBanter like the swaggiest number one pick we've ever had.
Yeah, swag. He has swag in a different way. I feel like he just has the competitive edge to me that embodies swagger, even if it's not like flash. Yeah, I just laughed. Like I felt like all of these scouts had a lot of praise for Cooper Flagg. Obviously, some called him even a generational talent in here, but none of them could get through like a 3 sentence overview without going the Caucasian trope route too, which is kind of just a fascinating part of the whole Cooper Flagg experience. Ace Bailey. This is where we get interesting. I think he's a pretty one-sided ball player. I don't think there's a whole lot of desire on defense. There are questions about how good his feel for the game is, how locked in he is. The playmaking, I feel in part, is not there. He's a fun-loving kid who's always got a smile on his face. They say he acts like a kid, tremendous talent, but incredibly young. But he better get to the right environment. If he gets in a dysfunctional situation, he could be out of the league in 5 years. This video is brought to you by NBA2KLab.com. 2K Lab worked with us last summer as well. They're one of our favorite entities in all of sports gaming. We want to show you their college basketball stadium locator challenge game. And I'm going to share a screen right now as we do this. South Carolina, bang. Oh,
Ooh,
okay, that's pretty good. Next, North Carolina. Why are we only getting the Carolinas?
Please
Bang.
lock in.
St. John's. That's New
New
York.
York.
Bang.
Where's New Jersey?
We're on fire. Colorado. I actually don't know what state Colorado is.
It's in Colorado. There's a state of
Is that
Colorado.
this one?
It's to the right of Phoenix.
Anyway, you get the picture. This game's really fun. They've got more games as well, like Guess the NBA Player, Mystery Fantasy Draft, and more. Stay tuned for all of the college football content and games that they'll be putting together to help you get the best experience out of college football 26. Back to the video.
That's harsh. The latter half of that is harsh. By the way, uh, acts like a kid. He is a kid. So correct. Like he he acts like a 19-year-old. So I think that's harsh too. The beginning half of it, I completely agree with. I've always been on the side of like, I don't see the defensive stuff that everybody else does. I see the upside, but I don't see the willingness to buy into the upside. Um, I've started referring to him as Ace Kuminga. I think there's a ton of similarities between the two. Um, and yeah, I don't see it the same way everybody else does with Ace Bailey.
I want to go to Will Riley next. This is from an assistant coach for a college team that played Illinois this year. Came on at the end of the year. One of the biggest floppers in the league. Sticks his legs out like he got shot on every attempt. I think he's going to be a good role player, but he's so young. He's got to fill out, grow into his body, get a little tougher. Deep, deep shooter. He can get to the rim. He's just not the toughest bear in the woods right now.
What's with the young comments? What draft has just not, like everybody's young? That's the NBA draft. I don't get it.
Is this guy speaking in haikus? Like, why is he speaking completely like metaphorically every time? He's not the toughest bear in the woods. Acts like he got shot every shot attempt. This is what you're talking about. These guys are way too comfortable being anonymous right now.
Way too comfortable. Way too comfortable. It's ridiculous. Also, like, stop calling them young. We know they're young. That's the NBA draft.
That's just also like not a good eval of Will Riley, is it? Like, I never watched Will Riley and thought he's not tough or he flops.
I also don't think NBA teams have any issues with players flopping if that's what you're going to tell them. I'm sure the Thunder would love to have another SGA.
Yeah, I kind of honestly, are we sure he doesn't think Kasparis is Will Riley? Are we just making sure? All right, let's do a couple of the guards real quick. Dylan Harper, he's definitely two. I haven't seen all the international guys, but there's no American I'm taking over Harper. Another one said, I don't think he has a real high ceiling, but I think he'll play for a real long time. A college head coach said he's as good as anyone we've played against, including Markelle Fultz and Jabari Smith. Not as good as Cunningham or Anthony Edwards, but as good as those other guys. Are you fine with all these comments?
As good as anybody we played against, besides other good guys we played against.
By the way, that one was literally identified as Muss because someone went through and figured out he's the only coach who played all of those guys. So shout out to Musselman for all of these quotes.
Muss is like, yeah, he's as good as anybody we played against, besides the other two really good guys that we played against. That's a crazy quote.
Here's a positive one. Jeremiah Fears. I'm a fan. I really like him. After Cooper Flagg, he would be my pick. He has a little bit of that in terms he can get downhill where the game is played today. Shooting has to get better, but when the redraft is done, I'll be surprised if he's not one of the best three in this class.
I could see that. I could see that. What is just out of curiosity, what's Man Man's? Because I think Man Man might be the second or third best player in this
I don't know
draft.
if I've done man man yet. I've only seen forwards and guards, so maybe the centers is coming out later today.
Man Man's interesting. I feel like he's probably the most polarizing player in this draft at the moment.
Yeah, I think so too. Also polarizing Yegor Demon and Kasparis, but it's hard to kind of even lay those out because there's such shifts in them. Some of the scouts are like, we love this guy, and some of the scouts are like, we hate this guy and wouldn't touch him. So, anyways, go read the full article. That's those are the ones I wanted to get through. But shout out to the New York Times and the Athletic for putting together the anonymous scouts.